Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us. I want to give a special thanks to Sean Henry and his staff at the Bridgestone Arena for allowing us to be indoors today and escape the weather. Colonel Perry and I did a safety video on Tuesday, and I swear I think I lost about 5 pounds in all the heat, and I've desperately tried to put that back on today. We want to talk to you today about the plans of 4th of July Let Freedom Sing event, where we're expecting crowds in excess of 300,000 to 400,000 people on Sunday evening. I will ask Butch Spiriton to talk about the Brad Paisley concert, the fireworks show, and the house rules in just a few. First, I want to cover what our police department is doing for the 4th of July celebration. As many as you know, Nashville has bounced back tremendously from COVID-19, and we're experiencing extremely huge crowds, more than we've seen in a long time. And so we created the Entertainment District Initiative to offset some of that, where we put dozens of extra duty officers, that's officers that are in an overtime capacity, to help enhance the safety of Nashville streets. That will be in effect tonight, Friday, and Saturday. On Sunday, the Let Freedom Sing event opens at noon. Officers will be present then, and our numbers will increase throughout the day, and by 5 p.m. we'll have hundreds of officers downtown in an extra duty capacity, mostly in uniform, to keep Nashville safe. They'll be downtown on foot, bicycles, and on horses. Our aviation units will be in the air, and we'll have officers on the Cumberland River. We want everyone to be self-aware on Sunday, and if you see anything suspicious or concerning, say something. We'll have plenty of officers nearby. They'll be very visible and will not be hard to find. If you're planning on coming downtown on Sunday, please arrive early, as we expect huge crowds, and we'll have road closures. The Woodland Street Bridge and the pedestrian bridge will close from 8 p.m. and will not reopen until the conclusion of the fireworks. The eastern section of the downtown interstate loop will close at 9 p.m. and will not reopen until 10 p.m. to prevent the very dangerous tactic of people parking on the side of the interstate to watch the fireworks show. When the show is over, we'll have 72 traffic posts that we'll staff. But with the anticipated huge crowds, please be patient and expect the delays from the traffic. As we work to move traffic, we'll do so as efficiently as possible. We ask again and again, please be patient. The Tennessee Highway Patrol is our partner in keeping Nashville roadways safe. I would like at this time to ask Colonel Matt Perry to talk about THP plans for the 4th.
All right. Thank you, Chief Drake. And I'd like to echo the thanks to Sean Henry and Bridgestone and the Predators for allowing us to use their facility. They always open their arms to us. And you were correct, Chief. It was hot the other day. We're expecting heavy traffic, obviously, here in Nashville and across the state for the 4th of July weekend, really starting tomorrow and going through Sunday evening. Please plan for heavy traffic flows, allowing yourself ample time to reach your destination. Our state troopers will be keeping a close eye on roadways, highways, and the interstate systems, looking for impaired drivers, speeders, and dangerous behavior that could impact your family's safety. We're excited about Nashville and the many communities across Tennessee being able to have in-person 4th of July and fireworks celebrations again. Public safety is a shared responsibility. We care about your safety. You can keep your family safe by slowing down, buckling up, and making the choice to never drink and drive. And just like Chief Drake said, if you see something concerning, say something to any law enforcement officer you see, or please call. Thank you again, and help us make this a fun and safe 4th of July. It's now my pleasure to introduce President Butch Spiriton, who will now tell us more about Sunday's Let Freedom Sing event.
Thank you, Colonel Perry, and thank you, Chief. Let me start by reiterating, we expect this July 4th to be the single biggest event in the history of the city, single one-day event, possibly in the history of the state. So it will be a big event. The weather is shaping up perfect. It's a 3-day weekend. There's a lot of pent-up demand. The fireworks in Brad Paisley are a pretty good draw. So that leads us to amplify the importance of public cooperation and public safety. We have the opportunity to set a standard on how events can and should be produced and send a message that Nashville is open and, more importantly, safe. We're committed to make this world-class event with public safety as our top priority. It's important, real important to note that we could not do this event or any of our events on the scale we do them without the leadership, support, and partnership of law enforcement, both in Metro and at THP. We're lucky to have some of the best in the country right here in our city and state, and that is borne out regularly when we work with organizations like U.S. Soccer or the NFL. To reiterate what Chief Drake said, our large events have always relied on Metro Police and their officers to manage overall safety. We always augment their safety plan with additional private security that we hire. Our private security force and safety plan is overseen by Tiffany Cooper. She's retired Metro Police and events captain at Belmont University. Combined with Metro and private security, we will have over 1,000 security personnel on site on Sunday. We need the public to help us with our efforts as well. We're asking everyone, as the Chief said and the Colonel said, plan ahead, be patient, see something, say something. This is a family day. It's a day to celebrate our country's birth, first real event after the pandemic, and our great city. So first, know the house rules. You can find them at visitmusiccity.com, and we're also have those rules in the packets that we're handing out. Some of the highlights: no backpacks, no coolers, no weapons. They are subject to search if they enter our permitted perimeter. No alcohol can leave the area or be brought in. And again, full house rules can be found at musiccity.com/July 4th. Second, we have 8 first aid stations. You can find those on our website and the maps that we have handed out to the media today. Again, 8 first aid stations throughout the perimeter. Third, think about how you get there, where you'll park, and where you want to be during the show before you leave home. If you want to be up close, leave early. If you just want a vantage point high up, you can leave a little bit later. But plan ahead, be patient, and think about where you're going ahead of time. The road closures will change as the night gets later. So a route you think might be normal and okay at 4 or 5 o'clock might be different at 8 o'clock. Plan ahead. The fact sheet in your media packet has parking, rideshare, transit information. Please share that information with your viewers. We have also taken the extra step to add video screens and speakers throughout the downtown area. The maps also have those locations. Not everybody's going to be able to be on the front row to see Brad Paisley, but we were working with the Predators. Again, let me share my thanks as well with them to activate their screens that face Broadway. We're working with 5th and Broad to activate their screens. We will have the screens at Ascend lit. We will have sound at Ascend, at the Green, at Riverfront Park, at the courthouse, at Walk of Fame Park, and throughout Broadway all the way up to 6th Avenue. So if you're somewhere where you can see the fireworks from the downtown area, then you're probably going to be able to hear. So don't get in a panic. We're trying to make every accommodation to provide a larger footprint for viewing and convenience. Lastly, and most importantly, and I already said it, see something, say something. The best prevention of anything going wrong is the public that is attending, and if they speak up quick enough and promptly enough. So see something, say something, help us show the world why Nashville does events better than anybody else. Chief, thank you again.
At this time, if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to take those. So we will see probably the largest crowds we've seen downtown since the draft. We've had all of the officers reviewing their crowd control policies. We've had live crowd control training with every officer in the department over the last few months, and we are prepared for a safe event. So here in Nashville, we have an excellent partnership with the Nashville Fire Department, specifically the EMS division. During large-scale events, and in fact every weekend downtown, because every weekend downtown, as you know, looks like a large-scale event, we implement what's called our rescue task force operations. And in that case, whenever we have a medical call, paramedics respond on a utility vehicle with all their emergency equipment to respond to the patient. But with those paramedics is a group of 4 police officers that responds to ensure that the paramedics can get through the crowd, that they can safely access their patient, and get that patient removed if transport is necessary to the awaiting ambulance nearby.
I can add one more thing because I think it's important. It emphasizes our partnership. A couple of years ago, we purchased an ATV for the fire department that is both a fire truck and a transport vehicle. And we will have an emergency lane down the middle of Broadway so that that vehicle can get in quickly and just respond as fast as possible. I think that's an important note.
So right now we're talking about the difference between house rules and criminal violations. Any house rules will be enforced by security staff. The Metro Police Department does not enforce house rules. We enforce when it becomes a violation of law. However, if you refuse to follow a house rule, you can be asked to leave because the CVC has pulled a special event permit area for basically the entire downtown core. Broadway out to 8th Avenue, the streets north and south of Broadway, around 1st Avenue and across KVB, and the Woodland Street Bridge is kind of the breakdown of what that's covered under. So if you refuse to follow a house rule, security staff can ask you to leave. If you refuse to leave, then it becomes a criminal violation, and that's when the police department, the only time the police department will get involved in something like that. So each precinct, we have 8 precincts. Each precinct is fully staffed to respond to any emergencies and calls as they would at any other time. In addition to that, we have response teams at the event site so that if we have another issue that happens elsewhere in the city, we can go ahead and send reinforcements to respond to that also. Absolutely. So I actually spoke to the merchants last week, and we encouraged them. We talked about 4th of July coming up. We encouraging them to have their security measures in place and to be really aware of things like overcrowding, having their security staff at the door, counting people as they come in and out, over-serving, being aware that people are drinking in other places and may arrive at their establishment already intoxicated. Rooftops are a huge concern of the fire marshal. So really watching that rooftop capacity because we don't want to have any disasters like we had a couple years ago. So the fire department communicates with all of our hospitals. Level 1 trauma center is Vanderbilt, level 2 is Skyline. All the hospitals are put on notice of any large event, and Chief Haas with the fire department keeps an open line of communication with them. Should we have a situation where we're transporting a lot of patients, the hospitals are notified so that we know if there's a hospital that can't take a large number of patients at that time, they can be diverted to another facility. So each venue, each private establishment has a set capacity that's based on square footage, sitting or standing, number of exits, width of the exits, et cetera. That is set by the fire marshal's office per building code, and that's what they have to go by. So our biggest challenges are intoxication. We don't want you to drink and drive, but more importantly, regardless of how you're getting home, we want you to drink and act responsibly. This is a family event. This is the first event we're having since COVID for our city. It'll be the biggest event in the history of the city. So we want it to be a fun, family-friendly event. There will be no tolerance for disorderly behavior, for fighting, or anything like that. Officers will intervene quickly if that happens. We don't want to have to do that, but we want to keep it safe for everyone. So just acting responsibly, controlling your behavior. There's going to be a lot of people down there. Patience is going to be really important as we go through the day. Luckily, we are supposed to have picture-perfect weather, highs in the mid-80s, and it'll be down in the 70s by the time the sun goes down and the fireworks start. That will ease a lot of our concerns with overheating and excessive ambulance transports and those things that we normally see. Still ask people to please stay hydrated when you're outside. Alcohol does not keep you hydrated, it dehydrates you, so it's a good idea to throw some water and some Gatorade in there. All of the rideshare companies have set pickup and drop-off points outside of the permanent area so that they can still get folks downtown. Those have been communicated to all the rideshare companies. Scooters cannot get into the Broadway footprint, but we use geofencing to keep them out of the footprint. However, they can get to each edge of the footprint. So if somebody wants to hop on a scooter and ride downtown, you'll be able to get to the edge of the footprint and then go ahead to one of the check-in points to enter the event area.
Well, it does a couple of things. First, it sends a message nationally and internationally because we're generating a lot of PR out of this event. CNN and MSNBC will be here doing some coverage, so we know it's going to get additional exposure. More importantly, it's putting people back to work. It's generating sales tax for the city and the state, and propping our businesses up who have had, hospitality industry in particular, a really long 15 months. So we're anxious to get started. We want to do it right, and it only works if it's safe. And I want to add that with our first aid stations and the hospital question, Vanderbilt is our partner on staffing all of the first aid stations. So I don't want you to think it's us sitting under a tent in case somebody needs a Band-Aid. We have professionals handling that as well. So normally, it would take a hard 6 months. The minute New Year's Eve ends, really a little before New Year's Eve ends, we would start working on July 4th. We did not know for sure we were going to do this till mid-March. So it's been a short run. Fortunately, everybody logically was available, unfortunately was available, and our whole team is back together and beyond excited to be working and show what Nashville can do. So even Brad is over the top. He's been invaluable promoting this event. Thank y'all.